I'm still all worked up about that last one. Okay, let's go and look at sourced by and how they define that because it's not the same as handpicked by. Let's look at this and just go through this to see how they're defining sourced by a seller. Okay, so we've gone through the first three categories. This is the fourth new category on Etsy that have taken the place of handmade, supplies, and vintage. This is sourced by a seller, and they basically have put the craft and party supplies in this. And they put items that are personalized with a buyer's custom text or image, which is a little weird, but I kind of understand it. And we'll kind of break that down a little bit. Okay, so sourced by a seller, like I said, has kind of taken the place of craft and party supplies. This is tricky. Okay, sourced by a seller include only craft supplies. Okay, so if you were a supply seller and you sold craft supplies, your products now, your listings are going to say sourced by and then the name of your shop. That's all the change there. So they are not changing what can be sold. Craft tools are considered things that are used to make a different product. Not that you necessarily have to change that thing into something else. It could be something like they say paintable figurines, unfinished wooden rounds, and craft kits. It's basically like if you can't take the thing itself and use it as is, then it's considered a blank for crafting, and that's a supply. It's a craft supply. Knitting needles, clay sculpting tools. And the key is that these are tools or materials where your primary purpose is to create a new item by hand. I don't know why this keeps flipping around. It's to create a new item by hand. Okay, so not necessarily 100% new, but you're going to change it. Like it wouldn't be like, I think a good example is this unfinished wooden rounds and paintable figurines. You wouldn't display an unpainted figurine and say, oh, look at my beautiful work. That's not the purpose. Or an unpainted craft, a wooden round, you're not going to display that in your home. Okay, but that's considered a supply. Because of that, you wouldn't use it as is the way that it is. You would want to do something to it to create something new. I'm going to skip this and come back to that. Let's do buyer personalized items produced by a production partner. Items created using a buyer's unique text or images produced by a production partner. Okay. And I think the neon sign is a good example. A t-shirt, hat, or neon sign that can be personalized with a buyer's name or special phrase. I mentioned this in the first kind of overview video of this. There are sellers who have connections to a factory somewhere. I saw one yesterday that was making neon signs and they were ordering from Pakistan. Okay. So they will get the order from the customer. The customer says, this is what I want the neon sign to say. The seller says, okay. The seller at this point has not designed a thing. They have not created anything. They're taking the information from the customer and doing what the customer wants. The seller then contacts their factory who will make whatever the customer told them. So basically the seller is the intermediary. The seller is connecting the buyer with the source of the production. Okay. The seller hasn't designed anything. The seller hasn't created anything. The seller hasn't made anything. They're acting as the in-between, the go-between, and that's it. That is now falling under sourced. Okay. So if that's your situation and you just take custom, you haven't designed anything, you're just taking custom words or whatever from the customer and putting it on a blank, or having someone else do that. Because if you're putting it on the blank yourself, then that falls under the made by because you're making it. But if you are sending it to someone else to make, then that's sourced by. So there's a little overlap where that could be in a different category as a print on demand thing. But if you are not designing anything at all, and you're just doing what the customer told you to put words or whatever, and you're having someone else make it, then it's a sourced by. If you were designing the design and you're sending it to a POD company with a name that a customer gave you, then that would be the design by. Okay, that's a different category. This is if you don't do any design work at all. You're just passing the information along to the manufacturer and they're sending it to the customer. This is where we get interesting. This is another area where Etsy has now opened the door to a lot of commercial products. All right, party supplies. Items whose primary purpose is to decorate a special event to give it a unique or personal aesthetic. Now, the example here is okay, first of all, party supplies were always allowed on Etsy. They were always in the supply category. I know people who sell birthday balloons, holiday balloons, um, paper plates with a theme, that kind of stuff for parties and that kind of stuff. That's always been allowed on Etsy in the supply category. And because the sourced by a seller category has included this now, it's that moved over here. But I don't think that holiday decor and party favors, it might be party favors, I'm not sure. And gift wrap, I'm not sure exactly what was in that. But let's think about this for a minute. Okay, so it has to be something that's primary purpose is to decorate a special event. And they do say down here that examples of items that do not qualify as sourced by seller is something like an electronics that can be used outside of special events. So you can't say speakers that could be used somewhere else. Like you could use this for a different purpose than just for a special event, right? You cannot do clothing that is ready to use as is without further crafting. So we were talking about the blanks, like the craft supply blanks. If you can take something and display it in your home or use it as is without doing anything else to it, that is not considered a supply. It's not considered a crafting supply. So you can't take the blank t-shirts and sell them on Etsy and say it's a supply, because you can use the t-shirt by itself without doing anything to it. Okay, so you're just basically selling a new t-shirt, and that's not allowed on Etsy. Even if you say it's a blank, if someone can use it as is, then you cannot sell that on Etsy. Okay, so that's not a new policy either. I know that a lot of people sell blanks on Etsy, but it can't be something that somebody can use as is. That's always been the policy. These are examples that do qualify as sourced by seller. It's a kit, balloon frames, because it's a party that's specifically for a party, right? It's a special event specifically for that event. And buyer personalized t-shirt printed on demand. Okay, so if it's a personalized t-shirt, like this person has sent in a names to you, and you turn around and tell the POD, seller to print that up and send it, you're just being the go-between. You're not designing anything. And that is now going to be under sourced by seller. Okay, that's not a print on demand thing. That's considered source. It's not a design by. It is print on demand. It's not considered design by. You didn't design it. You're sourcing it. Let's go back to the holiday thing. This really irritates me. Okay, because this is very gray. Okay, party supplies, items whose primary purpose is to decorate a special event, to give it a unique or personal aesthetic. Okay. Table decorations. I can see like birthday party plates and napkins and tablecloths. Okay. Balloons and streamers. Again, let's go with the birthday party theme. Okay. That's going to be for a party. Holiday decor. What? Okay. Holiday decor. Yeah, you could have holiday decor for a party, but if for a special event, how do you, a special event to give it a unique or personal aesthetic? Okay. So if I'm decorating my home for Christmas, does that count as decorating for a special event and giving my home a unique and personal aesthetic? I would say yes. So does that mean that I can sell commercially procured wreaths? Can I go to the dollar store and buy little ceramic Christmas houses for cheap and then come on Etsy and resell them? Seems like I can. These are the questions that Etsy is going to have to clarify. But the holiday decor and the party favors, I'm assuming that party favors might have been in this before. I've never really paid much attention to the party stuff supplies, but I could say pretty much, hey, let's go back to my bag of Doritos. I'm gonna get this bag of Doritos and put some stickers on it that say "Happy Birthday, Susie Q." Now it's a party favor. Is it? Is it not? I mean, these are the questions that haunt me at night. Not really, not really. The thing is, I don't care, because at this point, I'm so over the idea that Etsy is really concerned about handmade. They really don't care, because this is the kind of stuff that opens the door for these questions. And if you can make that argument that, yeah, I just got all of this stuff from the clearance section at Michael's, but I'm going to sell it on Etsy as party decor for my holiday office party, then maybe that's okay. I don't know. Okay. The following are examples of items that do not qualify. Okay, and we said generic resold items that have everyday uses, such as plain furniture, stage lights, or speakers. Now, I'm not sure what stage lights have everyday uses, okay, but I understand that if you can use this and it's not like a theme or to provide a personal aesthetic, then you can't sell that kind of stuff and claim that it's a supply, okay? So that, see, this is the gray area, is that let's say I got a whole bunch of Michael's mantle decor from the box out on the sidewalk where it's $1, right? And I'm going to turn around and sell it as Christmas mantle decor for your holiday party on Etsy and jack the price up, obviously. Is that okay? Because this isn't a generic, it doesn't have an everyday use. This is specifically for a holiday party. So I would think that that would be okay. Also Easter, I mean, I'm using Christmas as an example, but it could be 4th of July, it could be Easter, it could be anything. And I don't think that holiday decor was in this category before. It's very suspect. I can see balloons and streamers. I can see gift wrap, but I know a lot of people design their own gift wrap. So, all right, anyway. I guess you can buy commercial gift wrap and resell it. That's what this is, if it has a theme to it. Okay, but then what happens if you design your own gift wrap? That doesn't go into source because you designed it and you have a POD print house make it. So does that go into design by? I think that would. And see, this is, again, there's a lot of overlap in these things and you're going to have to figure this out for yourself. And I think Etsy's going to have to come in and clarify some of this when they get questions from people. And again, there is a survey that's on the Etsy blog article about this. So go to the Etsy blog and it says, give us your feedback. Please do. If these are the kind of questions that you have, ask them, because these are things that come up that they might not have thought about, or they have and they don't care. We don't know. Okay, so you cannot sell generic items that have everyday uses. It has to be themed. It has to be for a special event. Resold blank items that are ready to use without craft intervention, such as blank t-shirts, hats, or tumblers, do not qualify as craft supplies. And I was talking about that before. If you can take something and use it without any kind of design work and it's used for the purpose that it is intended for, then that's not a craft supply and you can't sell those on Etsy. Now, I'm not saying that that's not something that somebody could do crafting with. Okay, I'm saying that on Etsy, that is not defined as a craft supply. And all of these definitions could be different somewhere else. But this is where we are with Etsy, and we have to follow their rules according to their definitions, whether we agree or not. Listings for items sourced by a seller must use photo or video content of the items you have for sale, not stock or commercial images. This is another thing. I'm going to do this next. I'm going to go in and do a video about the listing image requirements next. But if you are sourcing something, meaning you are selling craft supplies, you're selling party supplies, you're selling buyer. Now, see, this is the weird buyer personalized items. I guess you have to actually have one of the things that you're selling as an example. Okay. This, to me, this says that you cannot use stock images that your wholesalers give you, which is probably good because Etsy is going around taking listings down based on multiple images being found online. So you need to take a photo or video content of the item you have for sale, not stock or commercial images. That's pretty clear. Okay, so if you're wondering, can I use a mock-up for these? The answer is no. And we are going to go into the listing image requirements because it's very tricky. And I'll do that next. But that's basically the source by a seller and the handpicked by a seller open the door to a lot of new types of products being sold on Etsy. Again, at this point, I'm kind of over caring about it because I have no control over this. They don't care. They are trying to set a policy that is clear for people, but still allows people to sell lots of stuff on Etsy that makes them money because that's their goal. And that's fine. They have a business. We have businesses. We all want to make money. That's the goal. So leave me any questions, but do fill out that survey and I'll try to find the link to put it in the description of the video. But this is brand new. and they probably are going to be changing it over time, updating things. They reserve the right to do that at any time. So this might not be the final word. And if that happens, I'll come back and do another video about it. But yeah, it's kind of a hot mess at this point. There's a lot of questions. So give this video a thumbs up and watch the next one about listing images, because that's a good one. There's lots to look at in that. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.